just wondering. Okay, so that does hurt. It's molten chocolate. Okay, here's what I was gonna talk about. I was looking for, you know, like the hidden things, right? To get an achievement and everything for some of these levels. And I was in Flame Mammoth. And I kept on trying to go up into these things that are dropping enemies on me. But it didn't work. It didn't work, so I just stopped trying. Then I eventually looked up, hey, where do you find the one hidden element? And they're like, look, it's in these things, but a very specific one. So it was hidden from sight in a spot that you were taught specifically would not work. I guess what I'm saying is brilliant level design. Brilliant level design X Dive. I did a poll, you know, asking what people wanted to see this week, and this got the most votes. It didn't get many votes, only 2, but when only 4 people vote, you know. Like, I actually was planning on being done with X Dive, but I know that it seems to get slightly more vote, you know, like, oh yeah, not more votes, but also more votes. It sometimes gets slightly more attention than some of the other stuff. Here's the thing with Mighty Number 9. It is kind of fun, right? It is a decent platformer and everything, but it can run like crap. And there's a lot of things in it that just aren't really the best, right? If it were just some small, no-named indie game, I think it would have did alright. But because it was, you know, the result of the most successful Kickstarter ever, at least at the time, and with all the money that it got for its budget, it should have been a lot better. I mean, most people consider it crap. Not only that, but it was supposed to stinking, you know, replace Mega Man since Capcom wasn't doing anything, right? And because of that, people thought, you know, I don't think people would have liked Mighty Number 9 if it was anything less than Mega Man 2, if you know what I mean. If it's dirt cheap, I'd say definitely pick it up. And I honestly think that they're not going to charge too much at this point. How dare you? Yeah, I am like a Nintendo ride or die though, and I did not get a Wii U until Smash Brothers. I was very, very interested in a few games, like I wanted to play Pikmin 3, but it wasn't enough to make me get the system, and it was the same thing for Hyrule Warriors. And then when they're like, hey, we're bringing Smash 4, I'm just like, okay, now I need a Wii U. And you know what? Now, you know, that also justifies me, you know, picking it up a few months early so that I can play Hyrule Warriors. Picking up Pikmin 3, though, that was a frickin' pain. I have my backlog all on an Excel sheet because I'm very cool. And the ladies love me. But yeah, I have them organized by console and then by how long it takes, you know, to beat them on average. And so what ended up happening most times with my backlog is I'll look at it and I'll be like, what should I start up next? I want to knock something off of this massive, massive list, right? Do I play the game that has an average playtime of 2 hours? Or do I play Persona 5, which has an average playtime of over 100 hours? I always get intimidated by, like, the JRPGs personally. I know it's driving my brother crazy because, you know, we both like Fire Emblem, and his favorite Fire Emblem is Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. That is the only localized version, you know, that is the only localized Fire Emblem I have not played, just because it's one of those, like, I have to spend 30 hours on it. Anyway, she's pretty much saying, if I'm following this correctly, that she'll sit on whoever manages to beat up everybody else. I think I heard that, like, the actual qualification for something to be retro is just being 10 years old, but that seems like a little... I don't know. That seems a little too recent, because I think, like, you know... Yeah, Wii U, some early Wii U stuff would be 10 years by now. It just seems really weird to think that some people would consider the previous console retro already. I'm not, you know, I'd never be one of the people who, you know, like, I'll watch some streamers who, you know, like, maybe they're a bit younger, you know, and there would be like, oh, a Super Nintendo, not a Super Nintendo, like an N64, what's that? And people be like, please, you're killing me. This can't be considered retro and everything. And I'm not that bad. I'll admit that GameCube is retro, but it feels a little weird. I'll even give it to Wii. If you want to say that the Wii is retro, I'll give that to you. But already calling the Wii U retro just feels a little off. But maybe that's just me. Like, one of the few games that I think does the whole garbage crusher thing well is Dustman. Normally, though, I don't want to have to stand around and wait for the ceiling to rise. Or even worse, wait for it to fall so that it can rise again. So that way, you know. Go down, please. I really gotta respect the authenticity here. Really got to respect the whole stinking, you know. X6 had some of the most miserable levels in any of the Mega Man games, and they've reproduced it here. Like, the two stages in X6 that probably drive me up the wall most are Metal Shark Players and, you know, like the level with High Max with like all the slow-moving platforms and the spikes. And they've combined them here. Luckily, with a I don't take damage barrier, I can just skip over the spikes. But geez. Oh crap. I can't slide down. I'm too sticky. Shadow Armor might have been a bad choice for this. Because I do need to slide down some pits. I feel like every stage it should be a challenge to get to the boss. If the stages are mere formalities, I think you screwed up. Well, Super Mega Man should at least help with some of the disappearing block bullshit that happens here. Where was I supposed to go? I guess I'm supposed to go this way. That's my bad. It's my bad. Normally there's some sort of pattern to this rather than just it shows up. It'll frustrate you to no end with how they refuse to show up. I think I think I was inside of that for a sec. Also, I don't know if I've commented so far, but a few of the dive armors, especially Iris's, they kind of just remind me of, like, Gundam models. Which, I guess it would make more sense to just say they remind me of Gundams, right? But there is something just very, very similar to the actual quality of, you know, the plastic model kits, to how they look. Or maybe I'm just blowing smoke up your ass. I don't know. But I do look at them and I think model kits. Specifically model kits. I'd take an Iris dive, you know, dive armor model kit. I don't know if there actually is any official merch for Iris, though, come to think of it. I think at one point they were planning on doing some Figma. Well, they were planning on doing a Figma of Iris, but it got shelved in favor of something else. But yeah, that'll do it for tonight. Just screwing around with the events. Oh, yeah. Maybe we'll return to it at some point. I don't know. It'll depend on demand. This is one of those games that I can play more of, but I don't, I can also just let go too. It's neutral for stream stuff, I guess.